Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a source that one of you sent our way. It's called How to Get Into Threesomes.pdf.
Hmm.
Now, this is definitely a step outside our usual kind of topics. It deals with some pretty private stuff, potentially sensitive for many people.
For sure.
Our goal here isn't really to judge it, right?
Hmm.
We're not saying if this is good or bad.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to treat this document
Yeah.
as, well, as one person's perspective.
Exactly. It's one author's view and the strategies they're suggesting for,
Yeah.
how to initiate and navigate threesomes.
Right. So we're exploring their specific approach to this particular type of intimate interaction.
Yeah, and the document really focuses on two main scenarios. First one is a man with two women. Specifically, it's geared toward the listener, presumably male, and a friend wanting to involve another woman.
Okay.
And the second,
The second scenario looks at a woman again, maybe the listener and her female partner looking to find another woman, specifically someone who identifies as a lesbian.
got it. And the author, right at the start, calls threesomes tricky. Very tricky. Yeah, he does. And he also mentions it's something only a small percentage of men reportedly experience. So this guide is positioned as a way to navigate those complexities.
Okay. So let's dive into that first scenario then. You and a friend with another woman.
Okay. What's interesting right off the bat is his pretty strong suggestion against involving a romantic partner.
Really? Why is that?
Well, his view is that a threesome can basically only harm a serious love relationship. He recommends instead using someone you'd consider a playmate or maybe a sex partner.
So someone where the understanding is more casual.
Exactly, where the expectations are, similar and maybe less emotionally entangled.
That really sets a specific tone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It frames this whole thing as separate from, deeper connections.
Definitely. And to illustrate this, the author shares this story, an anecdote about a woman named Isabel.
Ah, yes, Isabel.
Mhm.
Described as a suburban sex partner chick.
That's the one. She calls him while he's at a party, and he says he wasn't actually thrilled because he was hoping to meet other women there. But, and this is key to his later points, he describes Isabel as a freak. That term becomes important in his thinking.
Okay, so what happens when she arrives?
Well, the situation gets kind of tense, according to him. He says she was very physically affectionate, almost possessive, in front of the other women at the party.
It's taking a claim, sort of.
Yeah. And clearly that possessiveness didn't really fit with what the author wanted for his evening.
So that leads to his proposition.
Exactly. He feels like she needs to, quote, pay in return for him potentially missing out on meeting other people.
Wow, okay.
So he tells her, hey, we're in Chicago, threesomes are common here. And then he proposes that if she wants to spend the night, she'd have to be open to, quote, swinging with him and a friend.
And he justifies this how?
Well, he immediately clarifies, now don't get me wrong, I'm not gay,
Right.
but I figured it would be a fun activity as long as he stays on one side and me on the other. It's a very specific setup he's picturing.
That boundary seems important to him. He
Yeah.
uses that analogy, right?
Yeah, the never stand between a dog and a fire hydrant quote. It's pretty blunt about needing to maintain separate zones, I guess.
Definitely blunt. And his reason for even suggesting it to Isabel at that moment.
He says he was actually already talking about threesomes with another woman just before Isabel called, so it's presented almost like this was happening anyway, you're just stepping into it.
He calls it hustling, I think.
Mhm.
Feels very calculated.
It does. But surprisingly, Isabel agrees.
Okay, so then what?
Then, driving home with his friend, he makes a point of not mentioning it again. He wants to seem experienced, and not give her a chance to rethink or add conditions.
Keeping the momentum going by silence.
Seems like it. So when they get back to his place, the focus is initially just on intimacy with Isabel making out, some oral sex, and he leaves the bedroom door open,
Deliberately.
presumably. Because about 15 minutes in, when Isabel is apparently quite aroused, his friend David just walks in as they'd planned.
Ah, the prearranged entry. How does Isabel react?
The author notes she was initially surprised, yeah, but he quickly decides she wanted it just as much as they did.
Okay.
So David joins in, and according to the author, the whole thing goes pretty smoothly for about 3 hours.
3 hours, and then
Afterwards, David leaves, which the author calls typical for a well-trained sexpert.
a sexpert. That's right.
And the author's main takeaway seems to be that it was, quote, easy, almost like a porno flick.
That really sums up his perspective, doesn't it? Easy. Like a movie.
Yeah. And from this experience, and others he mentions, he pulls out a set of rules.
Okay, let's get into these rules. What's number one?
Rule number 1 ties back to Isabel. Freaks are the best candidates.
Okay, define freak in his context.
His idea is that people he categorizes this way are just more open to sexual experimentation. So if you know someone you've slept with who fits this description in his mind, he suggests they're probably good candidates for a threesome and might be surprisingly open to it.
Got it. Rule 2. This one sounds pretty assertive.
It is. Rule 2 is, don't ask if she wants to, tell her how it's going to go down.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he adds, if she doesn't like it, then she can leave. But he does include a warning. Don't hustle if you don't have any cards, though.
So, tell, don't ask. That definitely raises questions about, well, communication and consent.
Absolutely. It seems to favor a really dominant approach, kind of assuming the woman's eventual enjoyment will override any initial hesitation or, a lack of explicit agreement beforehand.
It relies on her just going along with it and then liking it.
It certainly leans that way. It seems to downplay needing enthusiastic consent up front. And those cards he mentions probably refers to his own attractiveness or the power dynamic he perceives in the relationship. Like, only try this if you think you have leverage.
Right, okay. What about the other rules? More practical stuff.
Yeah, the next few are more logistical. Like, when you invite a male friend, make sure he's good looking and, importantly, not a gossip.
Okay, makes sense.
And during the actual threesome, the friend should just join in. Don't wait for an invitation. He mentions waiting once himself and regretting it.
Just jump in.
He also advises keeping the music loud.
Why loud music?
To avoid conversations, apparently. He thinks talking could lead to arguments or awkward jokes or people sharing personal stuff. Wants to keep it purely physical.
Like the mood focused, I guess.
Seems to be the idea. Another point is gauging the woman's opinion of the male friend beforehand.
Oh, interesting. So some pre-planning there.
Yeah, shows a bit of awareness about compatibility, at least physically. And when you actually invite the woman, he suggests framing it as a joint decision the guy's already made, like, we decided we want to party with you.
Presenting it as a done deal she's being invited into.
Kind of. And keep the initial description vague. Say things like, go back and play, or something light, just a little risque. Don't overwhelm her with the full picture immediately.
Okay, what if she says no or gets cold feet?
His advice is to just play it cool, say that's fine, and postpone the discussion. Don't light up again right away.
Wait, don't pressure it.
Exactly. And one more key thing. He stresses the woman should be an active participant, not just passive. Encourage her to initiate contact, too.
Okay, so active participation is important in his view.
Now, next, he describes a whole specific technique, calls it, you are doing it all wrong.
You were doing it all wrong. What's that for?
This is designed for initiating a threesome after meeting someone, say, at a bar or club, and bringing them back with your friend.
Okay, lay it out. How does it work?
So the setup is, your male friend makes an excuse to leave for a few minutes, go get cigarettes, whatever, leaves you alone with the woman.
Okay, step 1, friend leaves.
Step 2, you start what he calls a cool massage trick. Get her to lie down, keep it innocent at first, maybe a back rub over her clothes. Just relaxing.
Innocent start, then.
Then the friend comes back in, acts surprised, and kind of jokingly criticizes your massage technique. Says something like, man, that's not the Manchu massage I taught you.
The Manchu massage.
Okay, it's just a pretext, right? It creates an opening for the friend to take over the massage.
The handoff.
Exactly. Then you make an excuse to leave for a bit, giving the friend some one-on-one time with her during the massage.
Okay, creating space.
Then you come back, but now the vibe is different. Dim the lights, put on specific music he mentions, Portishead, Sod, D'Angelo, mood setting.
Got it. Music, lights.
And then you start massaging her legs while the friend is maybe still working on her back or shoulders. So now both guys are touching her simultaneously.
Okay, escalating the contact.
Gradually. The key is gradual progression. Moving towards the inner thighs, slowly removing clothes, but no sudden moves. Use excuses, oh, this bra strap's in the way, or let's get these pants off so I can massage better.
Using practical excuses for undressing.
Right. The emphasis is on staying relaxed, letting the actions and the mood lead, not forcing anything or talking too much about what's happening.
Let the actions speak louder than words, basically.
That seems to be the idea, and the supposed payoff of this technique, if it works.
Yeah. Well, in his terms, it identifies the woman as a freak, someone open to this, and it sets up a possible follow-up. Suggest a 4-person outing later, maybe with another friend, to see if she's into more group stuff.
So it's a screening method and a potential stepping stone.
Kinda, yeah. A way to normalize it and maybe make it recurring.
All right. That covers the first big scenario pretty thoroughly. Let's switch gears to the second one. You and your female partner finding a lesbian.
Right. He presents this as another route, maybe less common for some guys' preferences, but still an option he explores.
So what's the first step here? It seems different from the start.
It is. The absolute first step is figuring out if your current female partner has ever considered or wanted a sexual experience with another woman.
So you have to have that conversation first.
Absolutely. If the answer is yes or even maybe, then he suggests proposing a visit to a lesbian bar together.
Okay. And he gives advice on finding these bars. Yeah, some practical tips, notes they might be less common than gay bars, mentions looking for specific lesbian nights at gay venues. Gives Chicago's scene as an example.
Right, and behavior inside the bar.
Yeah.
Any specific do's and don'ts.
Pretty direct advice. Be respectful. Crucially, don't you, the man, hit on women there.
Makes sense.
And be prepared to eat it, his words, if you get confronted or there's a negative reaction. Basically, don't escalate conflict.
Okay.
Just be cool.
Yeah. There's also a slightly odd warning about the men's restroom sometimes being used for making out, so knock first.
Good to know, I guess.
Yeah.
So once you're in the bar, what's the goal?
The initial goal is just visibility. Make it clear you and your partner are a couple, walk around together, maybe play pool, chat briefly with other groups, establish your presence as a pair.
Okay. And then comes the pickup strategy. He calls it the lesbo pickup.
Yes. And this is what he considers a key insight he supposedly developed. The core idea is counterintuitive, maybe?
How so? Instead of the man trying to initiate anything, the strategy is to have lesbians approach your female partner.
Ah, okay. Let them come to her. Why?
His reasoning is that lesbians who are genuinely interested in your partner will make the advances. And seeing you two as a couple won't necessarily deter those who might be bi-curious or open to that dynamic.
Interesting. So how do you facilitate that?
The tactic is your partner goes onto the dance floor alone to basically attract attention.
Putting her out there as bait, almost.
You could see it that way. Her role, then, is to politely decline any advances until someone she is interested in approaches her.
Okay. She finds someone she likes. Then what? He mentions things move fast.
Yeah. He observes that in lesbian bars, interaction often jumps straight to kissing, sometimes skipping a lot of conversation. He seems to find that notable.
Okay.
So once your partner has connected with someone and they've been kissing for a bit, her job is to bring that woman over and introduce her catch to you.
Right. Bringing the third person into the couple's sphere. What's the man's role then?
Your role initially is to make the lesbian feel comfortable. Compliment their interaction on the dance floor. You know, you two looked great out there. Just ease any potential awkwardness.
Be welcoming.
Exactly. Keep it relaxed. Casual chat, offer drinks, maybe suggest moving to a quieter spot in the bar.
Okay. Setting the stage. Then comes the test, right?
Yes, the three-way kiss. This is presented as a crucial moment. The setup is, if the two women start kissing again in front of you, you're advised to just join in. First kiss your partner, then smoothly kiss the lesbian. Critically, without asking permission.
Again, with the not asking.
Yeah.
How is the reaction interpreted?
Pretty black and white in his view. If the lesbian pulls back or refuses, that's it. She's not interested. If she participates, then bingo, success.
That's a high-stakes move then.
Definitely seems like it. So, assuming the kiss works and some three-way intimacy is established there in the bar.
Then it's time to leave.
Right. That's the let's go somewhere technique. The suggestion is that it's better if your partner suggests leaving for somewhere more private. Apparently, this increases the likelihood the lesbian will agree.
Makes sense, coming from the other woman.
Yeah. And then some practical stuff for the exit. Figure out whose place is closest to create a sense of, like, urgency and imply that things are definitely continuing.
Keep the momentum going. What about in the car?
Momentum is key. Your partner should sit in the back with the lesbian and continue kissing her on the way.
Okay. Maintaining the connection. Then you arrive.
Arrive at whoever's place. Keep kissing. Keep the lights off initially. Keep the mood going.
But what if it gets awkward?
Yeah. He has a plan for that, too. If things feel weird, you, the man, should make an excuse like needing to run out for wine and disappear for 20-30 minutes.
Give them space.
Exactly. Let the two women interact privately, maybe get comfortable with each other without you there.
And when you return?
Quietly observe first. Then match whatever level of intimacy is happening. If they're undressing, you start undressing your partner. If they're engaging in oral sex, you join in with your partner first.
Mirroring the activity.
And slowly initiate physical contact with the lesbian if she hasn't explicitly invited you yet. Again, gradual escalation.
Okay. And the progression towards intercourse. He has a term for that.
He does, calls it oinking, bizarrely. The suggestion is you engage with your partner first, then you ask the lesbian to perform oral sex on your partner.
Interesting move. Why?
This supposedly creates an opening while the lesbian is occupied for you to then start engaging sexually with the lesbian yourself.
Wow, that's quite the choreographed sequence.
It is very specific. Now, critically, there's a side note here that feels really important to mention.
Okay, well, what is it?
It's a strong warning about bodily fluids and potential disgust. He strongly recommends using condoms and changing them between partners. No fluid exchange.
That seems like crucial safety advice.
Absolutely. And he backs it up by sharing a personal negative experience where he didn't follow this advice, and it caused major problems with his partner, ending their threesome activities. So it's a lesson learned the hard way, apparently.
Right. Good. He included that. What about after post-threesome etiquette?
A few points. If you, the man, finish first, just quietly leave the two women alone. Don't hang around.
Okay. And when the lesbian leaves?
Get her number. Suggest a casual future thing like dinner, not necessarily another hookup immediately. Arrange her transport like a cab.
Yep.
And definitely don't ask her to stay over.
Keep it light, no pressure.
Seems to be the idea. And if the whole thing happened at the lesbian's house, you and your partner should leave pretty promptly afterwards. Avoid overstaying. Avoid potential drama between the two women later.
Got it. Leave quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up the two main pathways described in this document. Two very different approaches, really.
Yeah, definitely distinct. The first one feels more, I don't know, assertive, maybe even transactional, often involving a casual partner and a male friend, relying on direct propositions or maneuvers.
Right, and the second leverages the dynamic of an existing female couple within a specific social setting, the lesbian bar, encouraging the third person to make the first move towards the partner.
But both scenarios, despite how different they are, really highlight the author's focus on, like, planning and logistics, and a very particular style of communication, sometimes super direct, almost demanding, other times more subtle and strategic.
Wow.
And an awareness of sensitivities, but always through his specific, maybe strategic lens.
It definitely gives you a lot to chew on. Thinking about these contrasting methods, I imagine listeners might be thinking about which, if either, resonates with their own, maybe, curiosity.
Yeah.
Or perhaps even past experiences they've had.
For sure. And that maybe leads us to a final thought to leave people with. You know, given how much the author focuses on the how-to, the logistics, partner selection criteria, the step-by-step plays, what underlying assumptions about relationships themselves, about desire, about sexual exploration, what assumptions might be driving these particular perspectives on how one goes about pursuing threesomes?
That's a good question. What's underneath all the tactics and rules? Definitely something to think about.